The prototype inside this box was flown and hand-delivered to me by ASUS, and I can tell you with certainty that while I'm not allowed to tell you the exact specs, this is not just another Steam Deck clone, because it's more like 2 Steam Deck clones. They are claiming literally double the performance, twice the refresh rate, more than double the resolution, and I am one of only 2 people outside of ASUS who gets to show off the ROG Ally prototype today. And I'm the only one who gets to show you our sponsor.
Zoho One, who's here to help you take your business to the next level. Their all-in-one software suite has everything you need to streamline your operations and boost productivity. From CRM to finance, marketing to HR, Zoho One has got you covered. So head to the link below for a free 30-day trial.
On first glance, it would be pretty easy to assume that ASUS simply saw the Steam Deck, thought, yeah, we could do that, and then charted out the ROG Ally. But their team has actually spent the last 10 years working on various handheld console concepts, just waiting for an opening in a difficult market that has chewed up and spit out numerous experienced players over the years. And the biggest thing that proves this isn't just another copycat design is what I'm doing right now. ASUS obsessed over how people actually use these handheld devices, finding that they don't want them to be too big, they also don't want them to be too small, and they want them to be genuinely comfortable to hold. Now, when you first pick up the ROG Ally, it isn't very comfortable, to be perfectly honest with you. I have a hard time reaching the shoulder buttons, and these bottom corners here just like kind of dig into my hand. But then watch this. And perfect. These little contours here at the bottom right and left are designed for the device to be held at an angle with the screen actually facing your face, and in many cases resting, either on the desk in front of you or on your lap. In terms of buttons, it's a pretty bog standard Xbox layout. We've got our start and select here and here, or whatever Microsoft calls those buttons. I actually don't know what these other buttons do. Oh, I guess we're gonna find. Oh, okay, so that switches between Windows and your game. And, oh, that brings up their command center. Ooh, I really like this quick switch between mouse mode. Is this to make it like a keyboard jointed mouse or whatever? Cool. Okay. Quick toggle between 60 and 120 hertz refresh. I have been waiting for someone to do 120 hertz. I know it's worse for battery life. Okay, I know it's more expensive, but there are a lot of games, particularly emulated games, that you totally could run at 120 frames per second and would totally run on this hardware, especially this hardware. I am loving these RGB joysticks. In terms of buttons, the good thing about the joysticks is they're full size, so you'll get the same level of control that you would get with a Steam Deck. The bad news is you'll get the same level of control as you will with a Steam Deck. They're not Hall effect, which means that even though you can calibrate the 0 point, so you shouldn't suffer from drift, knock on wood, you can't fully eliminate dead zones, and they might not have the same level of durability. The D-pad feels solidly okay. It's far from the best I've felt, but it's not nearly the worst. And while I'm not a huge fan of long travel ADXY buttons, these aren't bad. I mean, so it should be noted that this is a prototype device, and I would love for that to improve. ASUS is here supervising. Now that I'm in position, the shoulder and trigger buttons are very easy to access. These seem like analog triggers, though they haven't confirmed that for me yet. And, like the Steam Deck, unlike many other competing Windows handhelds on the market, we've got additional buttons on the back of the device, though not as many as the Steam Deck. This looks flippin' awesome. I'm not allowed to show you guys FPS, but ASUS says that at 15 watts, they are up to 50% faster than the Steam Deck, and at 35 watts, they are double the performance. At 7 inches, 1080p looks crazy sharp. Okay, if this is running variable refresh rate, it makes sense that it's so hard for me to nail down what FPS it's running at. Because if it dips below the panel's variable refresh rate range, then it'll really start to chuck. And as long as it's within that range, it's gonna look shockingly smooth. So if I had to guess, I'd say we're seeing anywhere from 45 FPS down to it probably dipping to about 20, and that's where I'm really seeing those stutters.
No matter how you slice it though, this is incredibly impressive.
We're not even in game yet. I am loving this display. Okay, not only does it run at a higher resolution than the Steam Deck, it also hits a peak of 500 nits, which is more than, I think that's higher than any of the handhelds we've tested recently. And it's rated at just 7 milliseconds for pixel response times. Now, that doesn't sound that impressive compared to some of the latest gaming monitors that boasting sub 1 millisecond response times, but you gotta understand that even on something like a gaming laptop, the native pixel response time is going to be pretty similar to this. They're just overdriving those pixels. So this is going to be at least a clean 7 milliseconds, which at 60 hertz is going to look great, and 120 hertz should be okay. Wow, this is really smooth. I wasn't even thinking about it, which is the mark of good.
Okay, roll on 720p though.
You guys need to change it so that I can toggle the manual mode as well. Once I configure my manual mode, I should be able to just toggle the manual mode.
Dude though, this is so smooth. If you play lighter games, indie games, emulated games, 120 hertz makes so much sense.
I'm all the way back down to 15 watts performance mode, and this is still an outstanding experience. It's everything. It's the responsiveness, it's being able to nail the timing, it's the smoothness of the animations. If you're playing lighter games, retro games, emulated games, there's just no comparison here. Really? 15 watts, you guys are rating this at 20 decibels. I mean, yeah, I believe it. And we've got some insights to share with you guys on how they're getting it so quiet, even though we're not allowed to open it today. First though, let's see if we're even getting the main benefit of these fans being so quiet. Can we play something like a rhythm game on this and actually enjoy it, unlike... I can't say I miss audio surf, but these speakers sound great though. I've only got this at about 30% right now. That is a very full sound considering the size of this device. All right. It's not like I don't have any complaints, right? No Hall effect joysticks, for example, but Asus pointed out that they are very replaceable, so it wouldn't be a surprise if third-party options did show up. I didn't notice the weight, but they wanted me to mention that it's exactly 608 grams, which is apparently a lucky number, or something like that. The triggers and shoulders no longer bothered me at all once I was actually playing games, but I do want to see the stabilization of these. Okay, let's change gears though and talk about cooling. The way that they achieve this level of quiet, aside from just putting in a quality thermal solution instead of like your finger fans thing, whatever it is by using a heat pipe with a 2-element heatsink. So that's why it's got 2 exhausts over here and 2 separate intakes. They managed to pack 2 fans into this thing in addition to this hardware that is double the performance of the Steam Deck under ideal conditions. Now seems like a good time to talk about I/O. There's a headphone jack up here. We've got a micro SD slot, UHS 2, pretty cool. A really funky looking USB-C port, we'll talk more about that later. Volume buttons, as well as a fingerprint sensor that includes a single sign-on, I think is what that's called or whatever. Basically, it caches your fingerprint when you turn on the device and then logs all the way into your Windows profiles. So if you have multiple profiles, because you share your device with your kids or your SO or whatever, you just turn it on and it'll drop you right in your profile. They're not letting me show the motherboard and the internals to you guys, but I did see them, and there's a couple of things that I'm allowed to share with you. First, that the SSD is a 2230 sized SSD, so likely it'll ship with 1